Hello there and welcome to the voiceover. So I did the sketch off camera because I suck at sketching on camera, honestly. So what I'm doing right now is I'm doing the line art using the Kyle pencil brush in Photoshop. I'm doing it this way instead of using like a proper line art brush because I wanted to go for it with this more sketchy aesthetic for this one. So it's going to be a lot more messy than like what I usually make, since I usually make clean stuff. It's just a simple little piece that I did before I went to class the other day. Oh yeah, and I guess this is my voice reveal, so here's my voice. I do enjoy lining pieces like this because like it gives me a lot more freedom than like with something that has to have like proper thick line art and stuff, since that requires me to be neat, and this can, like, I can just scribble anywhere and do anything. Okay, so now I'm getting ready to fill it. And I was planning to use like one of my painty brushes to fill it, but then I realized that would probably be a better idea to just fill it normally and then use the painty brushes to color it. That way I wouldn't have to deal with like the hassle of like empty gaps and stuff in my fill. And I was planning to make it like pinkish, but then, yeah. And I chose a light color for the underbelly because I thought it would be cute. Most of this is just normal coloring stuff. And the brush I'm using right now is a personal brush that I made. And it doesn't change size with pressure, but it is pressure opacity, which is why it's fading like that. And for the eye, I just did something simple. Just a base color and then some highlight colors on top. And then I did little highlights on top, which is a lot of fun. Now I decided that I wanted to add more texture to the line art. So I'm going back in with the pencil brush and adding little dashes to indicate fur and stuff, which just adds to the end, which just adds to like the general texturedness of the whole piece. And I'm figuring out how I want to shade it. And I decided to use the pressure opacity brush and a certain settings on the smudge tool I have. And right now I'm blending it, but don't worry about the shading though. This you'll see why. I usually shade with like a blue or a red because it tends to give it a more natural hue. But I changed my mind later on in this piece and you'll see why. So that's the shading done, and now I'm going to go and do the highlights, which I happened to do on the shading layer, and by the time that I realized it was way too late. And now it looked really bad, so then I just went and deleted the shading layer. I tried to undo it, but I ran out of undos because I have to set it pretty low since my computer doesn't have that much memory. So now I'm going with a softer purpley lilac color to shade, and this is doing the shading the second time pretty much, but I think it ended up better than the first time. And now I'm going on an overlay layer and like just using a pale yellow to add some highlights to it and give it like a better sense of depth and dimension. Now I'm making an overlay layer below all the shading layers with like a light yellow and a pink just to give it some more depth. And I was just adjusting that, and I was using the airbrush tool for that, I think. And that's just me going through and coloring the line art. I think I'm using my pressure opacity brush, I'm not sure. I forget. And after this I was doing the reflected light, but then I realized I probably shouldn't use white and I shouldn't just outline stuff because it looks kind of bad. So I changed it back to a cyan color. And then I'm going underneath it, but then I changed my mind later again, you'll see. And instead of using the pressure opacity brush, I changed to the pencil brush. And I'm just going underneath stuff and just doing little things like where it not really going logically, but going where it will look the best and highlight things the best too. And now I'm using playing with blur modes and like using the Gaussian blur to soften it out instead of like manually doing it, because why would I do that manually when I can just have why would I do it manually when I can just have the software do it? And now I'm painting in the background part thing, and I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do for this, so I was just slapping stuff down. Then I decided to play with some of the filters, and then I settled on like a mosaic type of one. Then I exported the PNG That way I could add a texture layer on top. It's just some watercolor paper that I clipped to it and then put on overlay. Now we're done. Thanks for watching.